IELTS Speaking. Welcome everyone to Super Duper English IELTS Speaking course. Today you are going to learn how to answer questions from the Speaking Part 2 about describing an event. Stay focused, grab your pen and notebook, because you do not want to miss any information from this lesson. Firstly, we would learn about the most common describe an event questions. Then we would provide a guide on how to answer these questions, and finally lots of sample answers that you can practice with. The most common describe an event questions. Describe a festival that is important in your country. Describe an important event in your life. Describe an event that changed you in a positive way. Describe a public event that you attended. Guide to answer. Start with an introduction, then give the basic information about the event you are describing. In the core part, talk about what was happening during the event and explain how it made you feel. And finally, make a conclusion. Let's use this structure to answer the sample question. Describe a festival that is important in your country. Start your answer with an introduction, using phrases like I'm going to talk about or I'd like to talk about, then paraphrase the question. For example, I'm going to talk about the Tet holiday, which is one of the most significant events in Vietnam. Your next step is to give basic information about the event you are describing, including information about time, place, and purpose. For example, it usually starts in late January or early February, depending on the lunar calendar. Tet is a Vietnamese New Year festival, which can be translated as the feast of the first morning of the first day. There are 3 significant components to this date. It marks the beginning of the new lunar year, the start of spring, and the official birthday of everyone in Vietnam. In the core part, talk about the activities before and during the described event. For example, 2 weeks before the Tet holiday, people clean their houses because they believe that cleaning helps to get rid of all the bad things of the old year and to prepare for the new year. I really love the atmosphere during this time when everyone, from children to the elderly, is busy shopping for new clothes, new shoes, and new household items. People living far away will return home to celebrate Tet with their families. During this time, lots of activities take place across the country. There are fireworks displays, late-night parties, and family gatherings on New Year's Eve. I live in a small town with no public activities during the New Year, so my family and I usually stay home, have dinner together, and watch different shows on TV. On the first day of New Year, we usually visit our grandparents. Relatives from all over the country would come together to wish each other a Happy New Year. I remember when I was a child, the thing about such family celebrations that I found the most exciting was receiving lucky money from older relatives. There are also many other activities during this period. Some people go to pagodas to pray for families and ask for luck or wealth. In the feeling part, you can share one of the memorable moments from the event. Tell what you have learned from the experience of being there, or explain what it meant for you. For example, spending the Tet holiday with my big family is always an unforgettable experience for me because I have an opportunity to see some of my nephews, cousins, aunts, and uncles only once a year. It makes it even more meaningful for me. Here are some model sentences for past event description that you can use in the core or feeling parts. The occasion when I was angry, happy, terrified, shocked was several months ago when I was about to board a flight at the airport. The performance was delayed due to the snowstorm, lightning, dense fog. In the beginning, I felt extremely nervous. Since it was my first interview, I lacked confidence. Afterwards, I felt that everyone was satisfied with my performance. I felt a sense of fulfillment. I was impressed with the carnival, and it gave me a lasting memory. The wedding ceremony I would like to share with you is Mike and I have been close friends since childhood. Therefore, when he invited me to be his best man, I agreed without any hesitation. We had a memorable and busy day back then. Before the ceremony, we had laboriously decorated and planned everything. It was one of the most unforgettable moments of my life. I was greatly frustrated and hopeless. I have never experienced something as difficult as that in my life. The exciting experience I would like to tell you about happened several years ago when I was a college student. It was a really difficult choice that I had to make. I would like to talk about an occasion when I got up extremely early. For me, this was the most special birthday in my life. I would like to tell you about the first work day in my life that I really enjoyed. I really enjoy doing this work for some reasons, and the main one is that the job gives me countless opportunities to improve my English skills. I would like to tell you about a special 18th birthday party, which was fully organized by my mother. I would like to tell you about the trip that I went on last summer, to the hometown of my classmate. I'm going to talk about my brother's wedding day, which took place several years ago in the town where I grew up. I would like to tell you about a situation that made me angry. I was getting stuck in a traffic jam when... Finally, to finish up your answer, you can use the following phrase and make a conclusion. For example, so if I had to talk about a festival that is important in my country, it would have to be Tet holiday. Now let's answer the question using the guide we have learned. Describe a festival that is important in your country. I'm going to talk about the Tet holiday, which is one of the most significant events in Vietnam. It usually starts in late January or early February, depending on the lunar calendar. Tet is a Vietnamese New Year festival, which can be translated as the feast of the first morning of the first day. There are 3 significant components to this date. It marks the beginning of the new lunar year, the start of spring, and the official birthday of everyone in Vietnam. 2 weeks before the Tet holiday, people clean their houses because they believe that cleaning helps to get rid of all the bad things of the old year and to prepare for the new year. I really love the atmosphere during this time when everyone, from children to the elderly, is busy shopping for new clothes, new shoes, and new household items. People living far away will return home to celebrate Tet with their families. During this time, lots of activities take place across the country. There are fireworks displays, late-night parties, and family gatherings on New Year's Eve. I live in a small town with no public activities during the new year, so my family and I usually stay home, have dinner together, and watch different shows on TV. On the first day of New Year, we usually visit our grandparents. Relatives from all over the country would come together to wish each other a Happy New Year. I remember when I was a child, the thing about such family celebrations that I found the most exciting was receiving lucky money from older relatives. There are also many other activities during this period. Some people go to pagodas to pray for families and ask for luck or wealth. Spending the Tet holiday with my big family is always an unforgettable experience for me because I have an opportunity to see some of my nephews, cousins, aunts, and uncles only once a year. It makes it even more meaningful for me. So if I had to talk about a festival that is important in my country, it would have to be Tet holiday. Let's practice with more examples. Describe an important event in your life.
Well, I have so many important events in my life. However, I would like to talk about the most auspicious ceremony of my life, my marriage. I got married in December 2012 when I was 26 years old. Since I belong to a traditional and orthodox Hindu family, it's more or less like a religious and family festival. We invited most of our friends and relatives, and the celebration started 3 days before the event. We had to arrange all the amenities for the guests who came by, such as hotels to stay, food and drinking arrangements, and we had to make sure all of them were pretty satisfied. Therefore, the raising of the funds for the occasion was the biggest challenge I faced. Fortunately, everything went well, and the day is still a wonderful experience to think about. On the flip side, the greatest reason why that day is that significant for me is because ever since then, I witnessed a dramatic change in the way I live. I had to become more responsible, and after all, I got someone to spend all my life with. I gradually realized that being married means to become shoulders and shade to someone who is important to us, especially during a crisis. I would like to conclude by saying that now I am happily living with my parents, wife, and son, and my marriage was the first significant step towards my happiness.
Describe an event that changed you in a positive way.
There are certain events in our lives that have the power to shape us in profound and positive ways. For me, one of those events was my decision to study abroad during my junior year of college. I had always been a homebody, and the thought of leaving my familiar surroundings and venturing into the unknown was terrifying. However, after much contemplation and encouragement from friends and family, I made the bold decision to apply for a semester-long study abroad program in Spain. The experience was nothing short of life-changing. Living in a foreign country, surrounded by a different language and culture, forced me to step out of my comfort zone and embrace new challenges. I found myself navigating the bustling streets of Barcelona, trying exotic foods, and immersing myself in the rich history and traditions of Spain. One of the most significant aspects of my time abroad was the friendships I formed with people from all over the world. I had the opportunity to connect with individuals who had vastly different backgrounds and perspectives than my own. These relationships taught me the importance of empathy, open-mindedness, and cultural exchange. Overall, my experience studying abroad was a transformative one. It taught me the importance of stepping outside of my comfort zone, embracing new challenges, and seizing opportunities for personal growth. It helped me to become a more confident, open-minded, and culturally aware individual. So, if I had to talk about an event that made me a better version of myself, it would definitely be my unforgettable semester in Spain.
Describe a public event that you attended.
This is an interesting topic for me because I have attended several public events before, and I must say that I have enjoyed almost all of them. So today, I would like to talk about an event which I attended about 6 years ago in order to raise some funds for the flood victims of my country. As I just mentioned earlier, it was a fundraising event, and I really felt very passionate about it, as I also wanted to become a part of the noble effort. That year, a significant part of my country was flooded because of heavy monsoon rain as well as some other man-made factors. So when some of my friends asked me to attend the fundraising event, I immediately agreed. Initially, I didn't think that so many people would be there because of significant damage in the road and transportation system of that part of my country. However, I was really surprised to see thousands of people attended the event with all kinds of material help and support. By the way, the organisers of the event held a public concert which included some of the famous bands and singers of my country and a theatrical display of the sufferings and miseries of the people who were badly affected by the flood. Anyway, as for what I did at the event, I already collected some dry food and clothes before coming to the event so that the people in charge of collecting the relief funds there could distribute them among the affected people. Besides, since there were not enough volunteers there to take care of such a large gathering, I helped the event organisers to clean up the mess, like trash and food waste, after it was over. Visiting the fundraising event was an inspiring experience for me. I discovered new edges of my character and realised how much I love helping people. To be honest, that event was a life-changing point for me. Since then, I decided to study social care and become a volunteer to support people in difficult life situations.
Describe an event that changed your life for the better.
In our lives, we learn every day knowingly or unknowingly, and every event has its importance and consequence in our life. Yet, there are some major and significant events that change our path dramatically. One such important event in my life was helping a neighbour when he got ill severely all of a sudden. At that time, a 12 years old me was passing the neighbour's house and I heard a noise that sounded more like a scream. In fact, the person got a heart attack and I was too young back then to understand that clearly. I ran to his house and when I noticed him lying on the ground, I shouted for help. I called my parents and one of my cousins and we took him to the hospital promptly. The doctor went through the medical treatment and tests and thanked us for being so quick. The consulting doctor also mentioned that something bad could have happened if we have waited a bit longer to take him to the hospital. This person became very grateful to us and also became a family friend. He became a great life teacher to me. He often helped me with my studies and taught me many valuable and moral aspects of life. After I passed a level exam, I was accepted by a prestigious medical college of our country, and my father tried to manage a bank loan to support my educational expenses. But he was undone. He had not been able to manage the large amount needed for me to get admitted in this medical college. This neighbour who became our family friend raised his benevolent support and sold one of his properties to support my education. We tried to protest by all means, but he was determined to help. Over the period, my father and I repaid his money, but what he did was beyond repayable. Because of him, I am a doctor now. That all happened because of the event when I was 12. That event changed the path of my life. This event changed my life for something better and greater.
Describe a sporting event you attended.
I like football, whether it is played between two international teams or local teams, as long as the teams give their best in the field. The sporting event I would like to talk about was a national club football tournament of my country that takes place every year. The sporting event took place about 5 years ago when two of the best football clubs of my country clashed against each other in a final match of the national football tournament. When the game actually started, all the supporters of both the teams were screaming and encouraging their respective team. I also joined the chaos in the stands with all my passion. I wanted my team to win at all costs. Anyway, both teams were playing very rough and tough football that led to some unwanted fouls and some unfortunate fist fight. The game continued scoreless up until the halftime interval, but as the second half of the game started, the intensity of the game increased. Meanwhile, I was getting nervous in the stadium because my team wasn't exactly playing up to our expectation. In fact, my team was lucky to survive a few scoring chances from the opponent team. Then, suddenly, the ball was passed to the main striker of my favorite team, and he scored a wonderful goal, leaving us, the supporters of his team, completely ecstatic and crazy with the feeling of a possible victory. And in the end, we were indeed the victorious team. So I consider this sporting event to be the most interesting and exciting I've ever attended. Besides, no other sporting event made me as emotional as this one. That's why I thought of it immediately when you asked me the question.
Describe a music concert you attended.
During my university years, my friends and I attended many music concerts. So now I would like to talk about one such musical concert which simply blew my mind off. It was about 5 years ago, when I still was a university student, a famous folklore music band arrived to our city to give several live performances. Up until then, I wasn't really much of a fan of folklore music, so I wasn't interested in attending this musical concert. However, when one of my friends told me that he is going to pay for my ticket in exchange for a ride in my car, I reluctantly agreed to join them. And I'm glad that I agreed because I enjoyed every minute of that concert, which took place in our university auditorium, packed with all the music lovers, not only from my university, but also from the rest of the city. The university auditorium had an excellent sound system, which made the soothing yet upbeat melody sound even better. To tell a little about the music band which was performing in the concert, it was a well-known Great Lake swimmers from Canada. I already heard a number of good songs from this music band, but little did I know that they were equally good in original and traditional folk music as well, just as pop music. Featuring a blend of acoustic instruments, rural soundscapes, and wistful vocals, this fine music band had managed to captivate the minds of folklore music lovers with their signature style. Anyway, the concert continued for a good couple of hours, and I enjoyed every minute of it, mainly because the soft sound of their acoustic guitars, together with the appeal of the simple lyrics, was simply outstanding and too soothing for anybody's heart. Besides, the music felt so live and natural in their masterful voice that I felt like I was actually living the life of a countryside folk, living in rural Canada. Attending this music concert was an unforgettable experience for me, and I will always be grateful to my friend who gave the chance to enjoy it and love it.
This is the end of Lesson 8 of our IELTS speaking course. Subscribe to Super Duper English and ace your IELTS speaking test with us. Bye-bye.